Fantasy football draft time. It's here. It's here. You need help. I know it. And I'm going to give it to you. But I'm not coming alone, people. I'm not coming alone. I'm bringing in the best fantasy football analyst on God's green earth. Michael Fabiano is going to join me. Big show coming up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba-lubba hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Yes, Fantasy Football Week. The 53-man rosters are all coming together, and we're going to get ready. I have 4 fantasy drafts this week, okay? This is go time. If you haven't had it yet, it's happening this week. So I'm going to have the information you need to make sure you are drafting smart, be accountable for it, get ready for a big season. But make sure you're clicking notifications on, subscribe to the channel, share it, follow us on X, on Twitter, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram too, at AndyMCSport. Use hashtag AskAndy for any fantasy football questions, but let's bring him in. He is this senior fantasy analyst for Sports Illustrated, host of Locked on Dynasty and the Fantasy Football Forecast. My guy, Michael Fabiano, to the show. Michael, how's it going, sir?
It's going all right. I mean, it's going as well as it can be when your team is owned by Jerry Jones. But I mean, listen, I could be a Browns fan. It could be worse. So,
right? Come on, man. Misery loves company, and I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm totally with you. So we'll get to some team by team fantasy pickups, but we know there are really the most common question you get asked, and I want to get your answer to this because this year you can go a few different ways. The number 1 pick, you got the number 1, number 2 pick. Who's the first person off your board? Traditionally, the last few years, we've been conditioned to sort of grab that ever more rare RB1. But where are you going? If Michael Fabiano is the first overall pick in his fantasy draft, where are you going?
I'm going to go Jamar Chase, knowing that there'll be a little regression. I mean, he scored 403 points last year. He had 17 touchdowns. That's not going to happen again. Yeah. But still, he's phenomenal. I guess the first thing that I would suggest is that I don't want the first overall pick, and that's because every year the damn guy gets hurt. Like, think about it. Who's been the number 1 overall picks the last few years? I mean, we've seen McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, like these guys all get hurt. And so it's like, I don't know if I want it. It's like, it seems to be cursed lately. But Bijan Robinson is a clear alternative if you want to go with a running back at 1 rather than a wide receiver. So it's really those 2 guys. I have seen Saquon Barkley go first overall. I just don't get it. Listen, he was great last year. He was awesome. Mm-hmm. He went to the Super Bowl. He was great. The workload he had is negatively going to affect him this year. And every trend, and we could talk about this if you want, every trend of a running back, 370 touches, 400 carries between the regular and postseason, 2,000-yard rushers, Madden curse, are all going against Saquon Barkley. But for me, it's Chase 1, Bijan 2.
Right. And even for Barkley, and people say, oh, there'll be regression. Of course there's going to be regression from 2,000 yards. Now, if he still gets me 1,600 rushing yards, I'm not going to be upset. But is that a number 1 pick? I don't think so. So where do you then put after Bijan, and especially at the running back side? Because like I said, boy, those committees just keep, like, look at Washington. Oh my gosh, like it clutters all up. Where are we going after that? Because Derrick Henry, at some point, Father Time's got to get him, right? You got a Gente out of the Raiders, which were really
maybe I don't know. Derrick Henry, dude's he's a beast. I don't know. The man is made of adamantium. I don't know, like, if you get the Wolverine reference. Yeah. So I have Jahmyr Gibbs at 2, and then I have Barkley at 3, and then I have Ashton Jeanty at 4. Devon Achane, it looks like he's going to be okay for week 1. I have him next, and then if you're not like really into him, if you're a little bit worried, I think you can move Derrick Henry up. I think the one player that a lot of people are really high on that I'm worried about is Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I have him ranked 6th, and it's begrudgingly at running back. I don't think he's worth a 1st-round pick. I think you've got 4 to 5 running backs and probably 7 to 8 wide receivers who are worth 1st-round picks. I've seen him go like in the top 10. Even in Dynasty, he's going too high. Mm-hmm. So, and maybe this is just me being a negative Nancy, but I look at the numbers and I look at the stats. And this dude has not played more than 7 games in 3 of the last 5 years. The last year he played was 4 games. He didn't play well. He had 12 points per game. He's 29 years old. Mm-hmm. The Niners offense looks like it's not going to be that great this year. Who's their number 1 wide receiver? Ricky Pearsall? Like, I like him as a sleeper, but he's done nothing to prove himself as an alpha in this league. Juwan Jennings, I like him. I like the talent, but I mean, I don't know if he's going to be in the lineup in week 1. He's been dealing with an injury or / I want an extension, so I have an injury. Brandon Ayuk, we know he's hurt. He's not coming back until maybe like week 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So the Niners might not be a good offensive team. And
Kittle
if they have
can't stay healthy either.
The ball to McCaffrey, who's 29, has had a lot of work already, I'm concerned. I don't want there to be risk with my first pick. I don't.
Yeah. And that's, it falls into, I think, for maybe the more common fantasy football drafting, we see it every year, is name recognition, right? Oh, yeah. Christian McCaffrey. Oh, I know Keenan Allen. Yeah, I know. Well, we know them, but you're remembering when they were true studs. So that's interesting. Maybe if you cross everything and he stays healthy, boy, from what we listed there with the offense and George Kittle being injury prone too, there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
He just has proven that he can stay on the field. That's
the case. I mean, some people are risk it, no risk it, no biscuit, but like not in round 1. No. I will take risks on Quinshon Judkins in round 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. I'll throw flyers at guys that come with risk later, but in my first round, and then I have to get Brian Robinson Jr. Because if I don't get Brian Robinson Jr. and I have CMC, I'm going to have Ajita the entire year, just being concerned that McCaffrey's going to go down again. Yeah. Like it's the same thing with like Ken Walker. If I get Ken Walker, I want Zach Charbonnet. If I don't get him, I'm going to have a headache because I know Walker's going to miss time at some point during the course of the season. And listen, if McCaffrey falls to me in the second round, I'll probably take him, but he's not. Because people are bananas and they want to go. He is, to his credit, one of the greatest running backs in the history of fantasy football. And he would be up there on the Mount Rushmore with Marshall Faulk and LaDainian Tomlinson if it wasn't for all the injuries.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. And so we look at when you have the top 1-2 picks we went through. What if you're at that dreaded turn part, Fabs? What if you're at the 10, 11, 12 mark? The top running backs are gone. We're not getting the best receivers. What's your strategy this year if you're in that bottom and then you flip around and then you have one of the top 2 picks in the next round?
I don't mind being at the end, honestly. I don't mind getting a couple of really good players back to back. And like this year, so if it's a 10-team league, 12-team league, depends obviously, but you could get Ashton Genty, who I don't mind taking in round 1, later in round 1. You could get Puka Nacua. You could get Drake London, who I really like, Brian Thomas Jr. Like these guys, Nico Collins. I'm typically going to go, if I'm going back to back in the first and second round, I'm probably going to go wide receiver. So I could have a build that starts with Puka Nacua and Nico Collins or Drake London. I feel pretty good about that.
That's pretty good. And then really, I guess after that, you have to be going hard at running back with the next pick, depending who's on the board, right? Then you got to get, unless you're going RB0.
You have back to back. So, I mean, you could take another wide receiver in 3 and a running back in 4. It doesn't matter because no one's going to be able to usurp you. So, so I'd probably end up, depending on if a running back fell to me or not, that I really liked, I'd probably end up with 3 wide receivers and a running back after the first 4 picks. And then in the 5th round, going with another running back. There's going to be, Alvin Kamara could be there depending on the size of your league. Marion Hampton could be there depending on the size of your league. Yeah, I don't love Breece Hall. I got to be honest with you. There's some question marks about him, but if I'm getting him in, the 4th round or the 5th round, I don't mind as much. And he's kind of fallen into that sort of level, into that tier too. Kenneth Walker, I'd gladly take him, but again, I want to get Zach Charbonnet.
What about a Josh Jacobs and an Aaron Jones? Similar type of player in that with Green Bay and Minnesota, they're veterans. They're on the way down, but they still are producing and they're still going to get the majority of touches, or they should. Is that maybe like a 3rd, 4th round swing pick that you would look at?
Josh Jacobs won't be available in the 3rd round. He's probably going to go in the 2nd round. If you're in a 12-team league,
right?
Maybe 3rd round in a 10-team league, but I would say probably more 2nd round. Aaron Jones is way down my board. He's 30 years old. He's coming off a season where he had more touches than he's ever had. And they didn't trade Jordan Mason to sit on the sidelines. This is probably going to be a 50-50 split. Jordan Mason's 26. He's got upside. He doesn't have wear and tear. And Mason's going, a few rounds after Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if Mason outscored him this year from a fantasy standpoint. So now Aaron Jones, as good as he was last year, RB14, I don't want him this year unless he's like a low flex type for me. I'm not digging it. And honestly, I'd rather get Jordan Mason a couple of rounds later.
Right, because that upside, like you said, in conversation with Michael Fabiano,
and he's cheaper,
fantasy analyst, and cheaper at Sports Illustrated. Michael, what about Justin Jefferson? This is giving me angst here because this is a guy who, again, could fall, if you're 3, 4, 5 range in the first round, maybe depending how things go. But I got to tell you, I am not a JJ McCarthy believer. I think he's Mac Jones with a better haircut. I don't believe in him, and that scares me. He might just be, because of the volume, he'll be good and will his way to fantasy relevance. But what are your thoughts with Justin Jefferson, which has that unknown still of what JJ McCarthy is going to be as a pro?
So first off, Brian Thomas Jr. was a stud with Mac Jones throwing on the football last year. I'll just say that. Just say that.
It's true.
You don't need a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And JJ McCarthy, what's wrong? It's last year Sam Darnold, who was crap in the league. Now, someone would say, well, Adam Gase to the Jets, and okay, Carolina, okay, it's fine. He was garbage. Okay. In fantasy, he was worthless, basically. He went to Minnesota in that offense and was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. He was one of my sleepers, by the way. Right. But I hate him this year because now he's in Seattle.
Yeah.
Listen, we were starting Joshua Dobbs. Oh. Nick Mullins had decent games in that offense. Okay.
True.
I'm not worried about JJ McCarthy. If the Vikings thought he was a top 10 player overall, which obviously they did last year, I think you can throw almost anybody in there who's like, if Sam Howell was the Vikings quarterback, and of course, now he's been traded. If Sam Howell was the Vikings quarterback, I'd kind of be like, he might be a sleeper because it's such a fantasy friendly offense. Kirk Cousins was in the top 10 to 12 yearly in that offense. Mm-hmm. And they had Sam Darnold, who stunk in New York and stunk in Carolina, and he was a backup in San Francisco. Had a massive year. It's amazing what a good system and 3 really good receivers will do for you when you have JJ Addison, who's suspended the first 3 games, but you'll get him back, and TJ Hawkinson, who wasn't 100% last year. So I got to be honest with you. JJ is got to go through some growing pains. There's no question about that. But Justin Jefferson put up big numbers with Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs. Like, he's quarterback proof. Now, if I played quarterback, he wouldn't be quarterback proof because that would be the end. You wouldn't want to draft him. Okay. You or I, forget about it. But like actual NFL quarterbacks, like mostly I think, if it's Ben DiNucci, okay, I'm worried, but he's looking for a job right now. I'm not worried about Justin Jefferson. I'm not. They're going to get him the football. I'm more worried about like this hamstring thing. And, it seems to be like he's going to be fine for week 1. If you're worried about that and you want to draft CeeDee Lamb ahead of him, go ahead. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Those guys are kind of interchangeable. But I'm not worried about Justin Jefferson at all. And every report you saw coming out of Minnesota was that JJ McCarthy looked good. Yep. Not saying he's going to be the second coming to Tom Brady, because if you think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's ever been any good quarterbacks to come out of Michigan except for Tom Brady when it comes to like NFL, like stars. I mean, Elvis Gerback, he went to Michigan, right? He was okay. Yeah. Let's see. Oh God, Chad! Remember Chad Henson he played for the Yankees, he went to the Cowboys. He sucked.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Harbaugh was good. Jim Harbaugh was good. Okay. I'll take that.
That's going back.
But we don't have like great guys that have come out of Michigan. If Adam Schefter were listening to me right now, he'd probably swear at me. But I think JJ McCarthy is in a great spot to succeed. Succeed.
That's fair. Let's wrap up with a couple team-specific ones. Your Cowboys. We know we love CeeDee Lamb. Where is Dak Prescott in the pecking order of fantasy? Because Fabs, for years, it's been kind of underrated. He'd come in like at number QB 10. He'd get you 3-4 rushing touchdowns and beat you draft him later, and he's good fantasy. And you draft other players. So where's like your Dak Prescott come in along with CeeDee? Well, we know CeeDee's the top guy.
Yeah, CeeDee's in the top, top 5 at wide receiver, easy. But no, I mean, I've got Dak at QB 10, which may be a little bit higher than some people, but like, here's my thought process. Now, obviously injuries aside, they have no ground game. Javonte Williams is the number 1 running back. I'm sorry, Javonte Williams. He's not a good player. He's not a great player. Rico Dowdle may have been better than Javonte Williams. If you get Rico Dowdle numbers out of Javonte Williams this season, it's a win for the Cowboys. It's a win.
Wow.
But they don't have a good ground game. I don't know what's going on with Micah Parsons. I don't know if he's going to play for the Cowboys. Regardless, the defense has got big-time question marks. Mm-hmm. So the defense and the Cowboys have a really hard schedule. What does all this mean? Like, you put this all in a pot and you stir it up. They're going to have to score to win games. And as much as I hate Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach, it was a stupid ass move. It was the worst move since Dave freaking Campo. And I don't want to swear because I'll get pissed off at Jerry Jones. He knows Dak and Dak knows him, and they have they know each other's tendencies because they've been together. And I think part of the reason why Jerry brought in Brian Schottenheimer was because one, puppet, two, he knows Dak.
Right.
And you've got Pickens now alongside CD. I like Jake Ferguson. I think people are sleeping on him. You could get him late and he could be a tight end one. And his only full year as a starter where Dak played the majority of the games, he was in the top 10 among tight ends.
Right.
And they just gave him an extension. Dak loves him. So I think the Cowboys are going to have to throw the ball because, and the offensive line, we think it should be okay. You know, there's some injuries there, but we think it should be okay. You know, really young offensive line. You know, it's not Mark Stepnoski and Nate Newton and Larry Allen and, you know, Eric Williams in back of the day. I'm being nostalgic now because I just watched the documentary. But I mean, it should be pretty good. And, but the bottom line here is that the running backs are just not great. Miles Sanders is, I got into arguments with people all day long about when he went to Carolina, people think he's good. He's not good. He was a total friggin' like, it was all the Eagles offense, the offensive line. Like that's what he was. And then he went to Carolina and he stunk. And he stunk so bad, they drafted a running back with a bad ACL in the second round, and it didn't matter. He didn't play. And they gave Chuba Hubbard a ton of money, and they brought in Rico Dowdle. And Jaden Blue, he's not a featured back. I mean, he's like a scat back. He's like a Darren Sproles, like on the high end. That would be, you know, hopefully he's not Lance Dunbar. So they have to throw. They're going to have to throw. And Dak, despite the fact that he's not running much anymore because he's had a lot of lower body injuries. Remember, his first 3 years, he had 6 touchdowns every single year, rushing. Last year, the carries were projected to be way down. But a couple of years ago, he proved that, like, all right, if I have a couple of rushing yards and maybe a touchdown or two on the ground, I could still be an effective quarterback from a fantasy standpoint because I could throw for all these yards. And that's when, you know, when he had Amari and CD. And when he's had like a duo like that, even if you go back to like the year with Michael Gallup, who had 1,100 yards one year, Dak's passing numbers are good. You can crap on him all you want. He's not going to win a Super Bowl. He may never win a playoff game because it's the stupid Cowboys. But Dak Prescott is a good fantasy quarterback when he's healthy.
Yeah, I try to get him almost every year, depending on for the reasons.
And he's cheap. I mean, you can get him in the 10th round.
Yeah, you stack up elsewhere, you get a starting top 10 QB in fantasy. Nothing wrong with that. No. Last one for you here, Fabs. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco fever. We got it on the show. And while maybe we're not jumping with Flacco as your starting QB in fantasy, David Njoku, Fabs, is literally, I will use the word giddy. He is giddy with excitement because the 4 or 5 games that Flacco played with him, Njoku put up top numbers. Jerry Jeudy, giddy because his boy Amari Cooper told him how good Flacco did with him. Those two guys, I think, could have big years depending how long Flacco goes. And that's the big if, because otherwise you drop off to Dylan Gabriel. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't hate Dylan Gabriel. In Dynasty, I think you could take him late and just see what happens because who's the quarterback in 26? My guess is the Browns are going to draft somebody because they have 2 high draft picks and the team's not going to be very good. I'm looking for like so I have all these helmets in here. Look I'm going to answer this question with you wearing a Browns helmet.
Yeah.
Just to show that I'm a team player. Okay. Just because I'm a team player. So, it's good that Joe Flacco is the quarterback. This is definitely good because I don't want Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders to be the quarterback if I have Jerry Jeudy, if I have David Njoku, if I have Cedric Tillman or any of the running backs. So it's a good thing. But why would the Browns play Joe Flacco all year when you're not going anywhere? I mean, he's 40-ish, right? He's not a young man I mean, he's younger than me, but I mean, I'm not a quarterback. But you got to get Dylan Gabriel in the game and see what you got. Maybe you got to get Shedeur Sanders in the game and see what you got. Because honestly, are the Browns going to draw any attention in the media at all unless they start Shedeur Sanders at some point? Right or wrong, they're going to do it. Now, I think Gabriel will get the shot first.
Yeah, that's what's lining up to be.
So also keep in mind, Jerry Jeudy has never been a good fantasy wide receiver unless Jameis Winston was throwing him the football. Maybe that'll be different with Joe Flacco. I don't know. David Njoku and Joe Flacco have a nice rapport together. Mm-hmm. I like Tillman as a late round flyer type. I'd keep an eye on, but wouldn't draft Harold Fannin. Njoku's in a contract year, and if he goes bye-bye, Fannin could be a real stud in this offense. He had like the greatest tight end season of all time last year, I think, in FBS of Bowling Green. He was unbelievable. Other than that, the Browns just have a lot of question marks. That backfield I mentioned. I've been drafting Quinshon Judkins because he keeps falling. And I'm just trying to be positive in that, thinking, okay, the whole, like, there's no legal stuff anymore now. Like, it's gone. But the NFL has the right to suspend him. And my guess is that they would have to bring in the woman who allegedly, all this stuff happened. I don't want to get into specifics. And if they believe her, then maybe they ban him for 4 games. They did the same thing with Zeke. If you remember, Zeke didn't get arrested. There was no issues. They brought the woman in who accused him. They believed her, and he got 6 games.
Right.
So even if it's a worst case scenario where he gets 6 games, once he's signed, do I look stupid with this helmet?
You look phenomenal. I love it.
They drafted him with the 2nd pick in the 2nd round ahead of Trevion Henderson, which was dumb. That was a total Browns move. But like, they want to use the guy. They're going to want to use him and see what they have in him, because they're going to have draft picks next year. I would guess that they drafted a guy in the top of the 2nd round. Quinshon Judkins will be their featured back for the next 5-6 years.
Definitely.
And so he's not going to get suspended the whole year. I don't think he's going to get suspended for half the year. He may get 6, and that's the max. That's the maximum that he'll get. And I don't even know that he'll get that. I've talked to some of my friends who work for the Browns. They don't know if he'll get anything. We don't know.
Right.
So I'm taking Judkins. Dylan Sampson's now draftable. I just don't think he's a featured back. I don't think he is. I think he's a complimentary back, and Jerome Ford. So that's going to be the committee. So it'll be confusing with the Browns with Sampson and Ford to begin the season. And then when Judkins finally joins the group, he's going to need time to get his sea legs under him. And he's also going to maybe get suspended. But hang on to him and see where it goes. Remember this, fantasy football leagues are not won in the first 6 weeks of the season. They're won in the back half of the season. Yep. And if I have Quinshon Judkins and suddenly this guy is getting burned for the Browns and I'm getting 18 touches a game in an offense that, doesn't have like these great, amazing weapons. Like, you don't have like a CeeDee Lamb or Travis Kelce, who, by the way, congratulations. My dream of marrying Taylor Swift is over. It was never going to happen anyways. But congratulations to those two. Like, Quinshon Judkins is going to play a big role in this offense as long as he keeps his head on straight, gets signed. We'll see what the NFL does. I'd still draft him over every other Browns running back right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you got fresh legs going into the fantasy playoff or last half of the season. Not bad. Nice little late run pickup. I love it. Fabs, you look phenomenal in that helmet. Tell people where they can find you, where they can hear you. They know already, but tell them anyway.
I was never big enough to play football. I feel like Lucas. Remember Lucas? That movie, what was it, like Corey Haim? Was it Corey Haim?
No, I don't remember that one.
You don't remember that one?
No.
Am I aging myself?
I don't.
Go watch it. It's a great fight. Charlie Sheen was in it when he was a kid. It was a great movie.
Okay.
It was about the little dorky kid who tried to make the football team, and he had a big helmet on. And he looked stupid, kind of like I do right now. So si.com/fantasy, we just completely redesigned the entire page. So it's full of me. So you're going to get sick of me, but I hope you don't get sick of the analysis, and because we've got everything from rankings, super flex, dynasty, mock drafts, sleepers, busts, bargains. I mean, if you want it, I got it there. Locked On Dynasty Podcast, myself and Marcus Mosher. We do that daily. And then the fantasy football forecast on Westwood One with myself and my buddy Amber Theo Harris. That will begin week 1. I will also be kind of like all over the place on social media and not wearing a Browns helmet, but you get the point.
Unless Quinshon goes off. If he goes off, that helmet's got to come back, Fabs. Come on.
I don't mind. Listen, if I've got to wear a helmet to help a guy's juju, I'll do it.
Let's do it. All right, Fabs, you're the best, buddy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a great season.
All right, there he goes. Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated. Absolutely love it. Fantastic analysis. Like you said, hey, Quinshon Judkins, man, we don't know, but if you're in your fantasy draft this week and it's the unknown, you take him later. People forget about him. You get Judkins there. You're not relying on him. This is your RB1, RB2 first. And to Harold Fannin Jr., I've been preaching it on the show for how long? This guy in Dynasty, I think, is going to be a stud. Kevin Stefanski is using him as a chess piece. He is all over the field. He's lining up at different spots every snap. He might end up having some fantasy relevance this year, maybe as a flex. That might be a bit of a reach. But later or at the end of the draft, if people are forgetting about it and you're going to draft that 6th wide receiver that you're never playing, get yourself some Harold Fannin Jr., man. Pop him on. I'm going to try to get as many shares as I can. And I got him in one of my dynasty leagues. I'm very happy with that. I think for the future, he's phenomenal. Maybe there's something this year, too. And I love me some Cedric Tillman, my 2 rookie cuts. But Ced, you got to get on the field, baby. Come on. Andy's got 2 autographed cards of you back there, rookie cards. Come on. And let's not forget, too, another Browns player I want a piece of, Isaiah Bond. This guy in 3 days played in the preseason. Now, didn't get a pass thrown to him, but he's looking sharp. Now, problem in college was with contested catches, right? Maybe not the strongest guy against other defensive backs, but that's okay because he's the fastest player on the field. You don't want Isaiah Bond, 5'10", 180, 185, in contested catch situations. I want him with the ball in space. There's Xavier Worthy comparisons. You want Xavier Worthy muscling up against a linebacker one-on-one? No. I want to get him the ball in space. I want to either air it out deep. I want to get him moving in the slot. I want to get him in stride and go. So Isaiah Bond is another Browns player I'm going to be targeting later in the draft. Might be something again. You got him. There's upside, but nothing happens. Oh, well. You weren't going to be playing that wide receiver that you got late in the draft anyway. But Isaiah Bond is someone I really want to keep an eye on. Big thanks to Michael Fabiano. That's fantastic, as always, from Sports Illustrated. Make sure you're clicking notifications on subscribe. You got your fantasy football questions, people, pop them in the comments or send them to me on social media, on X, Twitter, at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns. Use hashtag AskAndy on Instagram and TikTok, too, at AndyMCSports. For producer Shane, I'm Andy McNamara. Fantasy football season and Browns season is here. So as always, go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.